So I want to say a big warm welcome to Heather today. Heather Murray is one of the most respected voices in AI innovation for marketing and creative industries. Heather is the founder of AI for Non-Techies, a consultancy and training hub that demystifies AI for businesses. With over 2 decades in communications and business strategy, she helps businesses navigate the rapidly evolving AI landscape without the jargon or the tech overwhelm. Whether you're just starting to explore AI or you're deep into the experimentation stage, Heather has a unique talent for translating complex AI concepts into strategic commercial wins. Heather, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. I'm so sorry. I just coughed then. I don't know if you caught that. I'm very, very happy to be here, Jenny. Thank you for having me.
Honestly, I'm so thrilled to be speaking to you. Heather, can you kick us off by just telling us a bit about why you started AI for Non-Techies?
Yeah, so I am a non-techie person and I have no interest whatsoever in learning about how it works, to be completely honest. I think, if you think about your mobile phone or your laptop, there's only a small amount of people that can actually pull it apart and put it back together again, but we all get so much use out of it, so much value out of it. I don't think you need to know how things work in order to get value out of them. And I think with generative AI, AI itself's been around for decades. We've got this new version of generative AI that is actually accessible to we non-techie people. We don't need to speak in any code. We don't need to know certain instructions or be able to go into the back end of anything. It is just there and it can operate conversationally. So when I first got into AI, which was actually, I'm not usually an early adopter in any way whatsoever, but when I kind of just stumbled across it in my last agency, and when I got into it, I was looking around, and when I went to conferences, I attended as obviously absorbing as much AI knowledge as I could. Everything was by these really techie people, and they were talking about neural networks and how these LLMs work and all these things. I kept on thinking, but what about how I use it? Skip past that bit. Tell me the practical stuff. What do I press? What do I type? What's wrong with it? What's right with it? And I just couldn't see anybody doing that at that point at all. And I looked on LinkedIn and I actually thought, oh my God, nobody's doing this. So I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I thought I'll give myself, I remember working in marketing, I always thought I wanted to run a business that was very descriptive in its name and very SEO friendly as well. So I thought I'll call it AI for Non-Techies, and then I don't need to explain what we do, because that's exactly what we do. So that's how I got into it. It was more looking around and thinking, I just want to be the person that explains it in a really normal human way that's really accessible to everybody.
And I mean, I think the proposition is so genius, and we were talking before you came on air, how you deliver it is so approachable. Your style is fantastic to learn from. So I know things have happened so quickly for you, but can you give the audience a flavour of what kind of clients you're working with now?
Yeah, well, we just got an inbound lead from Amazon, which is pretty cool. I work with Toyota, Mitsubishi, Salesforce. I've worked with Google. Really nice big brands, amazing fancy brands, and then loads of those. I call them the big unsexies. So the ones that nobody's heard of, but they're multi-billion turnover, and it's that's nice. Manufacturing companies and things like that, which is really good. But I also, because of what we offer, I work with across the scale, from solopreneurs, small businesses just like me, I'm still a small business, right the way up to those big enterprises. And because of where we all are with generative AI, it's the same, everybody's learning the same thing. So whether it's a super senior person at an enterprise or a solopreneur that's just started their first business, everybody needs to know these same kind of core skills, and everybody wants to learn in this same way. So it's a really unusual point in time right now.
It really is. Can I pause a minute, Heather, because your video is very pixelated, and I don't know whether that's my side and how you're seeing me.
Yeah, it's a Riverside thing. So it comes up. So if it comes up weird, don't worry. The actual recording is really smooth. It might also jar at some point as well, and you think, oh God, it's not. It's just Riverside recording locally causes those problems. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So I mean, obviously they're such impressive, huge enterprise clients. And just a quick question, a company like Amazon, you would have thought, because they have like AWS as part of their ecosystem, that they would be up to date. Like, what kind of remit do you have for the Amazon team?
Yeah, it's really strange. In the end, A lot of these companies have really technical teams and they've been leading the way, but they don't have the non-techie person in-house. That's what's really lacking at the moment, is that person. And this is where I think it's moving, is that people are going to start to have those and train those non-techie people in-house. So I'm kind of coming up with a product for that, right? I'm working on that right now. But they don't have that person that can explain it. So it's that translator between their IT team and what they're actually delivering. So even companies like Google have got Gemini as well. Obviously, the training with them is a lot more Gemini focused, but their teams still need to know how to use it. So it's really strange. You'd imagine, because when I first started working with kind of tech companies in San Francisco and stuff, you'd think it'd be completely different. It's all exactly the same. So there's a lot of people with a lot of technical knowledge, but generative AI is new. It's completely brand new as of October 2022. So it's so early on in its lifespan. So everybody still needs to know, including the big tech people. So
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, gosh, I know you're getting so many inquiries from so many different companies, so it's an exciting time to be doing what you're doing. Now, let's turn our attentions to the agency space, because you've got experience being an agency owner yourself, right? So before I ask you the next question, can you just kind of tell us about, in that context, what kind of agency did you run? When was that? What kind of services were you offering?
Yeah, so it was called Beasting Digital. It was a content copy agency. So we did content strategy and copywriting. And then that eventually towards the time, so it was about 5 years that I did it for. We were only very small, about 8 of us at our biggest. But AI was a big factor that came into that, and actually we started to use it towards the end, and it's then when my brain swung the other direction. I ended up winding up the agency and focusing on this full time. But yeah, so we did copy, and we had some quite big clients as well. It seems to be a kind of theme that I'll work with huge big brands and individuals throughout my career. But we had clients like Unilever, one of our clients as well, but just in kind of these smaller kind of copy projects as well. So yeah, it was small business ran for 5 years, and it was I learned so many lessons from it. It was wonderful.
I bet you did. Now, I'm going to ask you, hopefully not a difficult question, but I think there's a lot of people working in copywriting agencies and content marketing agencies right now listening to you thinking, she was, in charge of a copywriting agency, but she saw what was coming, so she pivoted. Should I be doing the same thing? Because there is still a lot of fear around how AI is disrupting the agency world. Yeah. So I'm probably jumping around a little bit with my questions, but what's your advice, I suppose, for people that are working in copy, generating copy? Is AI coming for their job?
Well, I think there's always been different layers of copy, hasn't there? There's always been the kind of the base layer, if you get your very average website design company and the very average copy that will pop, it's just filler. We used to have the likes of Copify, which have just been eaten by AI, and thankfully they have, because that was just I started off my copywriting career actually working for Copify for pennies. It's for hours, and I'd get about £4. So it's already eaten up that lower layer, and I think that's a good thing, because it's raising the bar. And I think overall it is going to raise the bar completely. A lot of copywriters, I think, are really worried about people thinking that people like me are saying use AI to generate your copy. It's not at all being a copywriter has so many different factors to it. Research being a major one. So you can now, on ChatGPT, you have a deep research button completely for free. And it's like having a PhD level researcher in your pocket. If in 10 or 15 minutes, it will go, you give it a brief, it will go out and produce a report. That is saving you hours of learning about a topic. As copywriters, you have to jump from topic to topic usually. That, even if you just use that is an amazing new tool to have for copywriters. You're not a great editor. I know writers are not necessarily great editors. I've definitely learned that. So you could potentially create yourself a custom GPT that edits according to specific client tones of voice. And of course, tone of voice guides that you might get from clients aren't necessarily the most intuitive things. So it might be they always want 2 spaces after every full stop or something like that if they're in legal. I worked in legal for a long time. I remember I've still put 2 spaces after every full stop. So it was just It was driven into me. So those sorts of rules could be applied automatically. So you do the beautiful thing, the writing, the bit you enjoy, and then you can have AI around that process. Or if you're, looking for leads, it can help you, prospect. It can help you do outreach. It can help you in your sales calls. There's so many areas. Don't use it in the bit that you love. The idea is that it creates more time for you to do the bit that you love. But yeah, I think it's definitely eating up some layers of copy, some poor layers. Coasters I should be worried if I was a coaster. If you're a talented copywriter, AI can't even touch you. Like there's nothing you can do. What it can do is speed up your process, and it can get you unstuck in certain places. So for me, I love writing LinkedIn posts. If I sometimes I'll write the beginning and the end, and I can't think of what I want to put in the middle that would flow nicely, and then I can use something like Claude, way better than the rest for AI copywriting, and I won't use what it gives me, but it'll get me unstuck, and I go, okay, so that's how I link, and then I'm able to finish the post and get it out. So it's not about replacing you. It's about kind of filling in gaps and creating time for you to do the really good stuff. But anything that requires human judgment and nuance and creativity, AI can't do very well yet.
I love that. And I think it's very reassuring. It's more about being AI enabled right now.
Yes.
5 years time, let's talk again.
Yeah.
With agency owners, they're obviously thinking about how can we balance service delivery and innovation. So how do you recommend an agency owner sort of integrates AI into their workflows? How do they start to think about it? Because for those listening, some will be more advanced and some may not, or may be grappling with how to approach it.
Yeah, I think I like to think of it in 4 stages for agencies. So the first stage being personal productivity. So think about quick wins for individuals. So things like getting an AI note taker so that you have just that half an hour back every day, or an hour back, depending on how many calls you have. Little quick wins that make your day easier, like little things that can, that research tool I was just talking about for your copywriters, etc. Then you move into kind of the more operational side, this way you might use it in your sales, your marketing, your HR, your finance. There are use cases across the board completely. You can even have an AI board if you want to. Speaking of boards, I know people that have done that, and it's working really well. So for small business, you create yourself a group of people. So you write that down. It's useful. Yeah. And then so you've got your kind of back office type of stuff. Then you have your client services. I think the risk rises with every kind of progression. So personal productivity, low risk. Back office, a bit more risk, but it's not client facing yet. Then you've got your, it's more prospect facing, that side of things. And then you've got your client services. That's really a lot higher risk. So when are you going to use, so if you're a content creator, when are you going to use AI to generate images? How are you going to disclose that? What kind of client statements are you going to have, and that type of thing? And then you've got a 4th section, which is AI as a service. So offering new things that you could never have done before generative AI as a service by itself. So there's so much around that, as in utilizing the tools that we've got. There's so many different things you can do. I know Platform 12 is a really good dashboard. It's so much more than a dashboard, but it's by 8 and 4, Kate Ross's agency. She's one of my AI heroes. She's fantastic, and she's built this amazing tool for brands that is entirely built on generative AI that creates images and video, and they can do social listening and sentiment analyses and keep an eye on all of their socials and generate new content, everything in one thing. It's AI as a service with the next level. So there's so many different things you can do. There's somewhere in the middle, there's AI as lead magnets as well. So you can create interactive calculators and all sorts of different things that you couldn't before, or that had a cost before. Maybe something they can interact with, a chatbot they can interact with as well, and use that to generate leads. So that's how I'd suggest. Start off with the quick wins, the small personal productivity, then move into your back office stuff. It's a big journey. This isn't something you can learn in a day. It's a big transformation that needs happening. Like you say, we're AI enabled here, but I like to think we're kind of augmenting ourselves right now. I don't see much dramatic transformation happening. I think we're just in that experimentation phase.
I think that's really exciting to hear, that AI as a service can be possible for an agency. And I love your example of Platform 12. And I suppose my question was, For that particular agency that's obviously more advanced, they've got this platform. Is that like a proprietary platform that they would use with their own clients? Because you kind of think, well, isn't that competing with some of the other big platforms like Jasper, for example, that, you put all your copy stuff in? Is it more about a bespoke, personalized experience for their client base?
Yeah, that's it. And that's what it is. It kind of pulls together the likes of Jasper and the likes of Midjourney and lots of other things all in one go. But it's proprietary. They've built it themselves. So I think she was able to create the idea and then, prototype it. And this is a beautiful thing. Without having any techies involved, you can create a kind of functional prototype. Then she got the team of techies involved to make this thing that was theirs. And then, it's for their clients. They've got enterprise clients in automotive, for example, and they're able to kind of have pictures of their cars on AI backgrounds and stuff. These are big brands that are using this, and it's using the same technology that we have access to as well. It's still based on linking back to the likes of GPT-4, which is the engine behind ChatGPT, for instance. So there's a lot going on. She just pulled it all together in a really convenient way.
Wow, how clever is that? Have you got any other examples of agencies specifically that have created AI as a service? I'm probably putting you on your spot on the spot because I know
Yeah.
you know a lot of people, but if not, don't worry.
I'm just trying to think of another example. I think a lot around the lead magnet side, I see a lot of people using stuff like GenSpark, which is a super agent, but don't let that term put you off. It's easier to use than ChatGPT, I'd say.
Really?
But yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It's you just log on. It's you just describe what you want. I want an interactive calculator that covers this, this, and this. Research this area. Create it for me, and it will create a live website that's interactive. You can share that straight away. So there's a lot in those types of tools as well. I see people doing that, but also I think AI as a service. What I see agencies doing more and more, and what people are speaking to me more and more about, is offering their clients AI training. So their clients are looking to them. They're seeing it, because even though it's across the board, they're seeing it as a marketing thing, and so they're going, right, you tell us about this. So they want to be seen as the kind of trusted source of information, that authority. So a lot of agencies are then going, look, they're putting on webinars, they're doing masterclasses. Some of them have opened their own academies for their clients, massively increasing their value and their authority levels, and being able to convey their skills as well. I think that's a new kind of, I suppose it's training really, but it's also AI as a service. It wouldn't exist before. So
That's a really good idea. Very, very good idea. In terms of agencies, where do you think they go wrong? Because as we said, there's lots of agencies that are very far in advance, and they've developed their own proprietary AI as a service products. And then the other end of the spectrum, I'm still talking to agencies right now that haven't really got going with it, or they're experimenting with certain tools. Most people are using it, but using it in disparate kind of ways. So where do you think they make the common mistakes when they're trying to become AI enabled?
yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd say that most people are at the beginning, so it feels overwhelming. It feels like everybody else has got it, but trust me, I'm teaching people all the time. Everybody's still at the kind of, right, what is this thing stage? They still are. So I think one of the main things is starting with the tool itself. So a lot of agencies will go, right, without having spoken to anyone, without having mapped out our use cases, we're just going to bring in, usually Copilot, or we bring in ChatGPT, and everybody has it. And then they sit and they wait for results. And that's not the right way to do it. You need to be linking it to your actual problems and the actual use cases. So I tend to ask people to start. So agency owners, starting with your business, where do you want the agency to be in a year's time? What's stopping you? And then have a conversation with your team about it. So what are your blockers? What are their blockers? Because you might not realise, I have conversations with leadership teams and then conversations with the employees themselves, and it's often very, very different things that come up. What's sapping your time? What's repetitive? What do you not enjoy about your job? And it's a hard thing to get out of someone, particularly when the leadership team are there. But just say, what bits do you wish you could do better? All of these things, and creating AI use cases, and then just pick one of those things. For most people, writing up meeting notes, that's a big one. So they spend a lot of time in meetings, and then they have to write the email afterwards. They have to write the proposal afterwards. They have to remember everything. They have to keep the piece of paper. A lot of us still work on paper. And that process itself, it takes up, half an hour, 40 minutes after a call. Now, with an AI note taker, you can have that all sorted. So that's a really nice quick win. So picking out each one of those blockers and thinking, right, is it AI? Is it automation? It might not be AI, or is it just a human approach? And I think off the back of that, experimenting around tools that would be a really, really good start. I think rather than just starting with, let's give everybody a tool and see what happens. And that happens all the time.
I think that's really good advice. One thing that has come up in my conversations, and I'm sure you hear it a lot, is copyright, trademark, privacy data, and things like that.
Yeah.
And in fact, with the transcribing tool, I absolutely agree with you about how it can help. So what would you say to those agencies that perhaps are in more, regulatory industries like healthcare, finance?
Yeah.
Would you say check the legal terms and conditions for using these tools, or is there another way around it?
Yeah, we all need to get into that as a process, doing our due diligence on these tools. Don't just get them. I think people, first of all, don't realise that what the lack of privacy of these tools, particularly if they're free. And if they're free, you are the product, and it's great to experiment with these tools, and we'll all start with a free version when we're curious, but understanding that what you type in can come out somewhere else, or what's recorded can be accessed somewhere else, unless you have a proper level of security. What I'd always be looking for is a tool that has a clear, dedicated security or privacy section where it's plain English. They're not trying to baffle you with any sort of legalese. You want them to be putting that up front and centre. So there's a couple of AI note takers that have really, taken that to a new level. So if you're in healthcare, for example, circle back, it's HIPAA compliant, SOC 2 compliant, GDPR, tick, 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 and it's all very clear across the page. They update that page multiple times a day with all the different things, all the different elements, way beyond my level of knowledge with cybersecurity. But I can see those three things, SOC 2, HIPAA and GDPR, and that makes me feel comfortable. I know that the data is stored in a way that abides by GDPR. This is a good thing. So we all need to be definitely doing that. I think learning how to select tools is a core skill. It's probably more important than learning to prompt, actually. But learning how to pick tools safely. But yeah, definitely doing your due diligence.
That's really useful. Thank you for sharing that one. And I think you're right. We're talking to account managers, a lot of the time, account managers are having client conversations. If a client is sharing some proprietary information about a new product launch, and like you said, gets into the public domain, then the agency's got potentially a legal case on their hands. So that's great advice, Heather. Really, really good. How can agency leaders use AI to uncover new revenue opportunities? We've talked about the AI as a service, but are there any other ways that they can use AI to better upsell or add more value to existing clients?
Ask it. It's the way that I'd respond. Yeah, learn to prompt first. And when you can prompt, you can use a type of prompt called expert advice, which is when you're asking AI or telling AI, depending on how you think about it, to act as a certain character. And that character can be anyone. Think of somebody you would pay £1,000 to have an hour with, and describe that person. So describe their job title, their experience, their skill set, somebody you would really love to have a kind of one-to-one consultation with, and give them all of it. Make sure you're doing it, use a secure version, but give them all of the information about your situation. I do this on a daily basis. So I've got my ChatGPT Teams. So just incidentally, if you've got ChatGPT, free version, not private, paid version, individual, not private, Teams and above, then you get the enterprise grade security. So I will use the voice mode, and I will just talk and talk and talk, and now it's got memory, it remembers everything that I've said, which is really useful, and talk about my situation and say, what else can I be doing? I've had a little idea. Do you think this is valid? Critically analyze these thoughts. Here are my clients. Who else should I be going for? It is a gold mine. It has been hugely responsible for my recent success, is having this kind of soundboard based off my ideas in the beginning, because it's not very good at original thought. But if you feed it your thoughts properly, it can really shape them and create an action plan for you. So I think AI is amazing at coming from idea to actual implementation of ideas, which is probably lots of other entrepreneurial types like me will will have so many ideas, but very rarely they'll come to fruition because you on to the next idea by then. But AI actually makes that happen now. So I think it's a really exciting time.
So you're explaining about creating advisors, and before you said like you could even have a board of advisors with different sort of different kind of inputs, and are they in the form of custom GPTs, or do you start a brand new kind of thread? Just so the people listening can think, well, that's a really good idea. I could do with a strategic advisor. Let's create this character so that I can use them often.
Yeah, I think for beginners, start with a prompt. But as you get a little bit further in, anything that you go, if there's a prompt you keep on going back to, a conversation you keep on returning to, that's a good case for a custom GPT. So customized version of a chatbot for those who might not know. And then that can be, you can set that up so it's ready to go and you don't need to type it in every time and it will remember more, of course. So this could be your team of advisors, it could be your board, it can be your strategic consultant. It can be whoever you want it to be, and you can just nip back and ask for advice at any point. Now it remembers everything. That's much more useful. But yeah, I have a team of probably 40 of them now, of various different advisors and helps and kind of AI team members that I refer back to for various different parts of my process. Proposal Pete this morning, for example, I have my proposals are done in a very specific way in an interactive proposal generator tool. But on Claude, I have a project that is called Proposal Pete, and I have my sales call. I upload the sales call transcript into Proposal Pete. That's then transcribed and put into the perfect situation. It knows all my pricing. It knows all of the similar situations I've done before, so it can pull out social proof in the right area. And there I have an amazing proposal that used to take me hours and now takes me half an hour because I'm just tweaking and checking it. So those types of things can be really useful.
And that's a great piece of advice for any account manager listening, because they are inevitably managing the client relationship. A new project comes up, they're taking the brief, they're generating a proposal, cost estimate, timeline. And this is the same scenario, isn't it? Everything could be speeded up.
Every single thing. And I think there's so much around for account managers in creating client knowledge hubs. So every detail they've ever spoken about. So think about, there's a great tool, Notebook LM, for this. Again, paid version's going to get you the privacy. So always remembering that. And it's £20 for the paid version. It's one of the best £20 you'll spend. It's really, really good. That gets you access to all of Gemini Advanced as well. But Notebook LM by Google, you just upload a load of stuff into it, and that can be audios, it can be call transcriptions, PDFs, tone of voice guides, company handbooks, all of those things, and it could be so hundreds and hundreds of things. And then you can just interact with that. So it's like you've got a specific brain that's trained on all things that client. That is, when I was an account manager, I would have killed for something like that. That's a really exciting thing. You know, you could run a piece of copy past it, does this abide by their tone of voice? I'm thinking of proposing this idea to them. Have we spoken about this before? So many different things. You just interact with it as client trained brain. It's amazing.
I love that, and it's absolute no-brainer. I absolutely agree with you. It's just so useful compared to what we used to have to do manually. Yeah. Any other tips for account managers listening of how they can utilize the AI tools to help them with their job?
Yeah, I think it's sticking to. I don't want to overwhelm because I'm conscious of people maybe kind of being new. I think Notebook LM for your client knowledge hub, absolutely. Custom GPTs for the little parts of your job that just annoy you. So I have Eagle-eyed Eddie as my editor, for example. You can have something that will maybe create the key points of a sales call. AI note taker is another big thing as well, actually. Before I want to say that before I forget. What else have we got? So we've got Notebook LM, custom GPTs for little parts of your job, and AI note taker. And I think, if you've got custom GPTs, you've got Chat GPT as well. That's just a really good soundboard. There's so many different things. So you can get all of your expert advice from just that one area. Another one I'd add on to the end, if you want to go the extra mile for analysing the people that you're account managing, you've got your team, you've got your key point of contact. If you want to know all about them, go onto LinkedIn and install we install it separately, but it works on LinkedIn. Humantic or Human Linker or Crystal, they all do the same thing. I like Humantic the best. I think it's the most accessible and it's the best priced. that analyzes their personality using their LinkedIn profile. And the accuracy level is so far beyond anything you might realize. It's unbelievable. This is how I got my $75 million for a client using this tool in a workflow. I was so suspicious of it. I was so sort of cynical. I just thought this can't work. It will just be a templated thing. It works. So it shows you how to approach them, the type of language they like. If you're writing an email, how brief they should be, how long the subject line should be, and you can get whole next levels of personal with them that way. So that's an extra little tip.
Okay, so I have used Crystal. I haven't used Humantic,
Okay.
But going back a step, tell me about the 75 million. How did that happen? Because there's probably now you've got everybody's attention. They're thinking, okay, how did she do that?
Yeah, so that was before. That was while I was running my agency, and we had a client come up to us, and it was a big energy client, and they were selling a $10 million ticket thing. So we were like, oh, this is super high ticket, about as high ticket as you're going to get. And they said we have 40 people, 40 companies, and 3 job titles at each company we want to go for. And so they've just said, we're knocking on doors for years, we're not getting any responses. Can you help us? And I said, okay, so help us. Obviously, this is very high ticket. I presume you're getting really personal with these people. I'd be going down, for $10 million, I'd be finding out what school they went to. I could just be having entire research teams. It'd be worth it. And they just said, oh, no, we've just split them down by job title, by industry pain point. I thought, oh, okay, that's what you do for a $50 sale. So I said, how can we get more personal? And actually, that's how I came across Crystal in the first place. It was a Google. I didn't even know it was AI. And I started off using Google, and then Humantic came out, and I found that a little bit easier to use. So it was a combination of the two. And what we did was, it was a human workflow with a bit of AI in the middle. That same workflow right now could be pretty much all AI, because this was pre-ChatGPT. So I had my human researchers go out and research the company, and which would now be ChatGPT deep research. I would have my and then we'd research the kind of industry pain points, job type, all of the usual stuff that they would have, and then we'd add in this extra bucket, we called it, of the individual personality analysis. So we'd have the copywriter would take this research, which had been human driven and that little bit AI driven, and create a series of outreach messages on LinkedIn and a personalized lead magnet inviting them to an event. And we tweaked the words according to what Humantic had told us, and we ended up selling 6 in about 6 months, and their team weren't ready for that at all. And then we thought, after that, I thought, oh, we're not going to get too many $10 million ticket. That's not very relatable to people. So there was an IT firm that was doing 100K. And we thought, that's much more like it. That's much more like somebody else's high ticket offer. And we managed to sell loads of those as well. I think we sold about 10 of those. And then we did a 50K one. And then there was so basically we ended up with $75 million of sales through this AI driven, not AI workflow, but AI driven workflow. And I believe it was the AI in that workflow that gave it an edge. So that's how that happened. That was nearly where I went, actually. I nearly went down that whole route in. But then actually, it's because by that point I'd started my AI for Non-Techies newsletter, which is how the whole business began, and I was loving just sharing the kind of AI for Non-Techies for beginners. So I ended up, instead of that path, I went down this one instead. I'm very glad I did.
I'm very glad you did, because you are just fantastic, and I've done your boot camp, you're doing your academy, and I just can't get enough of it. And you are a content machine. There's just so much, and it is difficult because I mean, the tools are just coming out every day, aren't they? There's like a proliferation of tools. So there's a lot of overwhelm. I'm just conscious of your time, Heather, but I'm curious to kind of know, what are your predictions for where this is all going, Heather, particularly as it impacts agencies? Do you have any kind of words of wisdom or advice for people who are sitting there thinking, my gosh, so much has happened, so much is changing. I get that I'm going to be AI enabled, but where is this all going?
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, I think don't worry too much. It's not moving as fast as everybody's saying it is. I've been here from the very beginning. There's loads of exciting things happening, but that actual change, the integration of change, isn't happening. So try not to kind of get caught up in the panic of, oh my God, I need to learn it all straight away. It's fun. Definitely start learning, but you can take your time a little bit more than people say that you have to. That's one of the first things I'd say. But where it's going to, I see us all, and the technology is there right now, as having at the moment, it's those who are really into their AI have multiple assistants, like I have, with my 40 different assistants. But I think what we're going to have is one. We'll have one very, very personalised assistant that understands, I mean, ChatGPT, Sam Altman from ChatGPT already spoke about this a couple of days ago, saying, soon, which is really creepy. They all speak in such a creepy way. Soon, ChatGPT will understand every conversation you've ever had and everything you've ever done. And I was like, half of me was thinking that's really useful, and then the other half was like, right, oh God, the world is ending. And I think that's just generative AI in a nutshell, isn't it? Yeah. But I think we'll all have a very personal assistant, every single one of us, that will help us both at work and at home, that knows us really well, that helps us cut through the noise and understands all the things that are our weak points, and helps us create time to do the human thing, to do the things that we enjoy. That's how I see it going. And I think we're going to build those tools ourselves, which is something that I don't think we could ever have imagined doing. I'm building all sorts of stuff. We've now got kind of vibe coding that's happening as well. I haven't given that a go yet, but I know people who are not techie and they're just describing an app and it's coming to life in front of them. And then if there's a bit wrong, they put the code into ChatGPT and that fixes it. And like, it's a really, really crazy world, but I see us all as having this kind of assistant.
So the $1 million question is, if you've got a marketing client that can eventually vibe code and just say, create me a website, do me an app, write me a marketing campaign, is there going to be a need for agencies?
Oh, absolutely. Because imagine I like to say, imagine a client writing their own blog. It's going to be a blog, but it's not going to be a very good one. You can't really create something using generative AI unless you know how to do it manually, properly. I'm great at prompts for copywriting because I was a copywriter for such a long time, and I know how to describe what good looks like. I also know how to recognize it the other side. If clients without any skill are creating apps, the apps will be rubbish. They won't know how to describe them. They won't know whether they're any good the other side. They'll put them out and they won't work, and they'll head back to the agency. So you need to be able to... generative AI amplifies talent. It doesn't create it. So I absolutely think the agency very much has a role. That role is going to change, and I think clients will expect more output. I think that's a big thing. They're going to, as they get to understand what's possible, they're going to say, well, you used to do 4 blogs a week for us. Now we want 8. And I think that is going to happen, and it is going to cause challenges for people. It will make it possible, but it's forcing agencies into going, oh, right, okay, so they want more for them, the same amount of money now. And I think we will have clients that are, and I think I've seen it already with agency clients that are just saying, I don't want AI anywhere near what I do. But that comes from a lack of understanding as to what AI is. We're using AI in our email spam filters, in our predictive text, in our direct debits. We're using it already. They don't realise that we already are. So I think that is when that kind of education piece back to the clients comes in. So in educating your clients, you're not just positioning yourself as a trusted authority, you're also kind of protecting yourself from them going, we don't want you to use it at all, because they'll understand what it actually is.
And particularly, would you say that for agencies, particularly account managers who are responsible for that human to human relationship building and commercial perspective on their client's business, etc., to kind of really double down on that skill set? Because ultimately, all of the automation of the tasks that everyone can do is becoming much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we all need to, work on our people skills, because we're going to need them more. Because if all this works out well, and actually for me, I'm creating lots more time with AI. Unfortunately, I'm filling it with more work. That's the problem. That's a big problem, actually. And something people will encounter is that burnout becomes even more present, because you can be doing 3 or 4 things at once now. I'm going to do something else and then coming back. But yeah, I think, definitely refining your people skills is going to be, it's going to be a really good bet right now.
I think that's great advice. Heather, this has been so informative. Thank you so much. I just want to say that your content is high quality. Your programs, all of your programs that I've experienced have been just really top stuff, and Thank you. Relatable. I think your delivery is just so wonderful. So for those listening, first of all, who would you like to be contacted by? What's the best way to reach you? If you could just give us a flavour of that.
Yeah, so I'd love to speak to some agency owners. I think as an agency owner, I know where to integrate AI, and I can help you in so many different ways, from kind of integrating it into your own agency to building your own talent as well, training up your own talent so you can stay, you know, ahead of the time as well. And plus, we've got an academy, which is, like I said, you're a member of it, and I think we're doing these multi-seats for agencies right now. We're really focusing on agency use cases and skills tracks for them as well. Got a new version of the academy coming out in a couple of weeks, so it's all a bit manic. So there's loads of stuff we can offer, and I'd love to be chatting to agency owners about that.
Wonderful. And where's the best way to reach you? Is it LinkedIn or?
LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best way. Yeah, it takes me a couple of days at least to get back because there's a bit of a tsunami going on right now. But please, yeah, I will get back to you.
I can imagine. Heather Murray, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So lovely. Heather, thank you so much. That was brilliant.
It was a lovely conversation, wasn't it?
It really, really was. And I hope this comes out because I haven't experienced the pixelation with other guests. So I'm just fingers crossed it'll be fine. Because
I've had exactly that before with my guest. Yeah. It comes up a weird and then you look on the recording and it's totally fine. Yeah.
Good, because you look so lovely. I'd hate it because I like to do a little snippet. So, yeah, perfect. Well, listen, I don't know. I'm going to stop it, I think. And then hopefully...
You should have another